next movement we're going to do is the hip movement. This is probably the most important move in all of jiu-jitsu. So I'm going to show two variations of how to do it. Depends on how much space you have at your house or wherever you're doing your warm-up. If you're at the academy, you have more space, you can move a little bit more. If not, you can do it in a stationary position. So when I do my shrimp or hip movement, what I want to do is one leg is planted. I want to make sure that my ball of my foot is close to my butt. Okay? And I always step my foot a little bit to the outside. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift my butt off the ground and put all of my weight into my opposite shoulder. So pushing off the ball of my foot, putting weight into my opposite shoulder. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push off and pivot on the ball of my foot and pivot on my shoulder so that my hip scoots out and my leg ends up straight. So by the time I'm done with the movement, I'm on my side, I'm looking down, and my top arm is stretching towards my feet. Okay. So doing it from the other side, bring one foot up, put the ball of my foot on the ground. I'm going to push off the ball of my foot and lift my butt off the ground, pivoting on my opposite shoulder to move my hip out. And when I'm done with the movement, my top arm is stretching towards my feet. So if you have room on the mat, you can do this down the mat, which is what we typically do, going side to side. But if you don't have room, you can do it in a stationary position, either with 2 feet or with 1 foot. So the 2-foot version is hips up, and then I'm just going to pivot on both feet, moving my hip out side to side, keeping my butt in the air. Or I could do it with the 1-foot version where I take 1 foot off the ground and I just use 1 foot. Then plant, 1 foot, move back, plant, move my hip out, back, and then move my hip out, back. So now I'm going to show you how this movement is used in jiu-jitsu. This movement, the shrimp or the hip escape, is used in almost every situation, every position when you're on the bottom. So let's start off from cross-side position. If he's cross-side and I need to put my opponent back in my guard. So what this movement does is it helps me to be able to get on my side. So from here, my arm is underneath this hand here. I'm going to use this hip movement to help me turn on my side. So I'm going to push off the ball of my foot, move my hip out, and then my knee can come inside to put him back in the guard. So from here, he's laying here. So as long as he's not blocking this knee from coming in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push off the ball of my foot, scoot my hip out so that I can get on my side, and now gives me space to bring my knee inside to put him back in the guard. This movement is also used in the mount, which a lot of people use to hip out. So if I create a frame on his hip, I can keep 1 foot planted, and as I push off the ball of my foot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this energy to my hand to help me move him and then move my hip away. So now I can get out of the mount. So from this side, 1 foot goes on the ground, I plant my hip, or I grab his, create a frame on his hip, and now all I'm going to do is I'm going to push off my leg, transferring the weight to my hand, or transferring the energy to my hand. So here, and move my hip away to create space so that I can either put him back in the guard or get out of his mount.